Good morning, everyone. I'm doing my John Maxwell now, and I'm focusing on leadershift. So I think in our North American society, people don't like contradiction. But John Maxwell's book has a quote in here from one of the best readers or the best writers that I have written on and that I have focused on, Malcolm Gladwell. And he says that if you're not having contradiction or you're not seeing contradiction in things, you're basically not thinking. Because the more we think, the more we see how contradictory things can be and how contradictory life can be. So I'm starting this new book, and when I do the books, I reflect on my own life and how I'm applying it and what I need to learn to get better. There's a quote or there's a saying in farming that you're either fencing in or you're fencing out. If you're fencing in, you're happy with what you have and you're looking to protect it. If you're fencing out, you're looking to expand your horizons and you're looking to develop more, to grow your business. And for me, I'm fencing out. I'm not happy with what I have. I'm not happy with minimum wage. I'm not happy with just keeping what I have. I'm fencing out. I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to expand. I'm looking to travel. So those are all the things that I'll be focusing on in this next section that I'm doing with this new book. And there's some good examples that John Maxwell gives in here about being nimble, adaptable, and flexible. But I think that we also have to realize that there are times when we need to rest, when our bodies, our minds, our spirits need to slow down. And there's a good example that he gives in here on cheetahs. When cheetahs are hunting, when they are hunting for antelope or they are looking for food, they are very fast. They are impressively fast. But it turns out that speed is not the secret to their prestigious hunting skills. The beauty of the cheetah, and I'm not reading directly from here, but the beauty of the cheetah is that it knows when to stop, it knows when to slow down, to leap sideways, and to change directions. Slowing down quickly gives the cheetah the better odds of actually securing their prey and getting the antelope. So cheetahs run fast. They run as fast as 58 miles per hour, and the average speed is 33 miles per hour. So high-speed running accounts for only a small portion of the total distance covered by the cheetahs each day, and that's what the researchers found. So it's important for us to remember that the cheetah often decelerates before turning. It's like with a car. When you're driving a car, if you're going to turn, you don't speed up before you're going to turn because you'll most likely have an accident. You slow down, you turn, and then you pick up speed again. So it's the same thing with our journeys. Forward is also shorter. We'll spend a lot of time looking back, reflecting, and then we make a move forward. That's the same thing of what happens in leadership. So I enjoyed reading this chapter today, and I think that that's an important learning for me because, like for me, it's important to remember you either change or you die, like Thomas Edgley said, because if you don't change, you can't adapt. And some people think that my changing is a bad thing because I don't fit into their box of how they want me to be or to remain. Other people think that changing is a good thing. But I choose what I'm focusing on, just like focusing on this book. And that's part of how I adapt to life in America, life in North America, in Canada. Because if I don't do it, and if I don't continue to change, most likely I won't be able to continue to earn an income. or continue to look for new opportunities or new ways of doing things. So I think it's important for me to remember that on my journey. And if you look at water, water is fluid. So water takes the shape of whatever we put it in. And when it flows through rocks, when it flows through rivers, it wears down those rocks and those rivers over time, and it flows into the sea eventually. And that's how, in many ways, we have to be in life. I have to be in life, because if you're going into a new contract, a new environment, a new situation, I have to change in order to fit into that situation. Because if I don't change, then I'm not going to be able to survive it. So that's why when I am being given coaching, when I'm being given direction, I change, because I want to keep that job. And that's what I tell my proteges. That's what I tell my mentees when they get me to have people who come in, who I train, who shadow me. I tell them that this is what we have to do to keep our jobs. We have to change. Yes, we can bring our own ideas forward, but like what happened to me when the customers phone because they know a VP of a marketing company that I'm working at, and they didn't like one thing that I did, they'll just fire you. They'll just take you off that job. And that's how the Americans are. So we have to adapt, we have to change. And this is the quote for Malcolm Gladwell. It says, that's your responsibility as a person, as a human being, to constantly be updating your positions on as many things as possible. And if you don't contradict yourself on a regular basis, then you're not thinking. So I think that's important for me to remember. And even with the people I meet, the people who come to me for mentoring, or the people that I encounter when I'm being sent somebody to mentor, that's something that I try to be open to, the fact that they're coming to me with their own perspective, with their own situation. And both of us are afraid, because I'll be a little bit frightened because I'm meeting this person for the first time. I don't know them and they don't know me, so I don't know what they are going to come asking for in spiritual direction, in meeting with me. So I have to be open to them and open to what they are looking for. And the points that he gives in this is, the first one is continually learn, unlearn, and relearn. So this morning I was reflecting on my travel companions. So I've traveled with Renee. I invited my friend Renee to travel with me. We went to Wales. We went, they have these day trips, or they have like 3-day trips that you can do in England. And you can go to Wales, you can go to Scotland, you can do a lot within Britain itself. So we did that together. We were travel companions. I invited my friend Maria Bose. She came here to Canada and we traveled together. We went to Montreal. I took her to Montreal and she stayed with me here in Toronto. And so it's good to reflect on, how have I been with others? Have I invited others? Have I traveled with others? And when she came, we did a lot together. We enjoyed our times together. So looking back is important, but also looking forward. So what do I want to do in the future? We value yesterday, but we live in today. So looking back is nice. We do that with the scriptures. We do that with what Jesus left us, the guideposts, and the scriptures help us to live in the present. We don't want to go back and say, okay, I'm going to live in the past, but they help us to live in the present. The same with music, the same with anything that we look, the history that we learn from. They're important guideposts for me, even when I meet with people or when I go into the workplace. Otherwise, there would be no need to learn. There would not be any need. There would not be any need to study, to graduate, to learn anything, because it would be, well, it's in the past, forget about it, like in that scene in the Lion King. So we rely on speed, but we thrive on timing. And John Maxwell gives a good example here that if you can see the bandwagon, it's already too late. So if we want to be leading others, we have to be continually learning, continually seeing what's coming in the future. And even now with this, Stephen Harper was asked for advice by Mark Carney, but they voted in Mark Carney. So he said he had a vision. He said he knew everything that he was going to do and things were going to get better for us. And it hasn't. So let's see where that takes us. Let's see how it goes. But I know for me, I don't see this as something positive. The tariffs are to support the U.S. To support the U.S. economy improving and the U.S. economy getting better. So if we are only looking to the U.S. or we're only looking for growth in Canada and not looking at outside trade partners, I don't see it getting better. But that's me. Other people have their own opinions. And then when we see the big picture, it keeps getting bigger. That's the example I gave about fencing in or fencing out. That's a farmer's term. I never heard of it before until I read this chapter here today. And it's interesting to know, because sometimes when you're in a culture and people are talking about fencing in or fencing out, you don't know what they're talking about. It's like when you go into a new company or a new environment, if you don't understand the terminology, you won't understand what they're talking about. So one of the things that I had to do when I worked in banking, and it's very boring, but I had to put together a glossary of what the terms are. Like BAU is business as usual. I had to do all the definitions and then put dashes and say what each of these things were. And then we gave that to all the new people coming in. But nobody did that for me. So that's why I'm saying when you're a leader, when you're out at the front, it's very hard, because you are the one that's taking on all the risks, taking on all the uncertainty. And then the others who come behind you, they have it easier than you. So we live for today, but we think about tomorrow. Most leaders have a bias towards action, but for me, this time has been about slowing down, like the cheetah, like the car that you're driving when you're getting ready to turn. It's been about slowing down and taking care of my health, taking care of my mental health, my physical health, just slowing down. And also, because I've lost so many people recently, allowing my time, allowing myself to grieve and to go through that grieving process. Yes, I keep in touch with family, I keep in touch with friends, but I don't put any added pressure on myself to take action, to do things, because I don't want to be sick when I get that call to say, okay, there's an opportunity and you can go in, or they want to interview you. So that's important to remember in living today, but think about tomorrow. And the uncertainty. So a lot of companies will say, oh, we're not hiring now because there's too much uncertainty and we don't want this uncertainty. But the uncertainty has always been there. It's always been part of any business risk. It's always part of any life. So uncertainty is not a reason to not move forward with our lives. If I had given into uncertainty, I would never have migrated to Canada. I would never have studied. I would never have completed my degrees. I would never be doing even this John Maxwell, because even putting the videos on Facebook, when they initially suggested it to me on the team, I said to them, oh, I'm not comfortable doing it. I don't like it. You know, social media, it's very difficult and you don't know who's going to start following you. And they said to me, well, just do it for your friends, do it for your family, do it for the people you're already connected with, and then from there you can expand and you can put it on other social media platforms. So that's how I did it. And there's a lot of people who are younger than me, who are older than me, who have many more followers than me. They have followers in the thousands. But at least I know I've taken the steps, I'm trying, and I'm looking to grow my social media presence with my ministry and with my John Maxwell. If it doesn't scare you to do something, then you might as well be dead. Being frightened, being a little bit afraid, it's natural, and it's also a protection mechanism. So it's good that we take small risks and we move forward. And then the 7th point is realize today's best will not meet tomorrow's challenges. So that's the same thing that Jesus talks about in his teaching. It's like, what are we doing today to work out our salvation? What are we doing today? Because today's solutions may not work tomorrow, like the bridge to nowhere. Because with all our environmental changes, with everything that's happening, earthquakes, floods, fires, there's a lot of places in Toronto where they built, where we get floods every year now. They may not have had floods when they started building there or when they built those homes, but now every year we get floods in those places. So we have to look for solutions. We have to look for ways to either avoid those routes when we're traveling, or we have to look at how other countries are adapting. Because if you look at Venice, they have boats that take them everywhere between the houses and everything. And we might think, oh, that's pretty, it looks nice. But maybe when they started, they didn't want it that way. So I've learned something new. I've tried something different. I've tried to find something better to improve myself. I go back, I watch my videos, I see how it comes across, and then I improve. And that's the way I do it. And when we value these points, when we look at them and we take them, we can apply them, and then we can help other people to do them. I've done it for my John Maxwell, but I also do it for my ministry, for my spiritual direction. And this way people get to hear my voice. They get to see me. They know who I am. I could easily just write articles or write poems and post them on social media, or prayers, and I do that too. But this is a good way for people to know who I am, what I'm doing. I'm doing it at home as well. So that helps a lot. I don't have to go out to a studio, rent a professional, studio to record my messages. And that helps a lot. Everybody wants to get to that place eventually where you're going out, you're speaking, you're getting paid engagements. But for me, this is what I'm doing right now. And I have companions on my journey. I have the John Maxwell team. I have my friends. I have family. So everybody has to start somewhere. And just because I have a lot of rejections, reaching out to different companies, different speaking bureaus, different places, doesn't mean that I give up. Because if I was somebody who gave up, I would never have gotten anywhere. So I focus on my skills, but I also focus on learning. And that will help me because it helps me to change the way I think, the way I act, and the way that I lead. And until I get that break for my work, I do have to keep applying, keep at the applications, keep networking, keep joining calls, keep joining places where I can upgrade my skills, like with HRPA. They say that the webinars are free, or this is free, or that is free, but it's not free because I renewed my HRPA membership for this year. Included in that are a certain number of free webinars. There's 3 conferences, I think, that are free. So they advertise it as free for members, but it's not free. I've paid for it already. And that's what we need to remember, that even when we see the rewards points, when we see travel rewards and all that, it says free, but it's not free. It's something that we've paid for. And with anything that we are paying for, we expect to have a good return on the investment. And the investment I made in my HR skills, in getting my designation in this John Maxwell, I also want to see it resulting in financial returns for me so that I can provide for myself. It doesn't mean that I worship money and not God, but I also need to provide for myself, to care for my body, to care for my home. So that's the way that I look at it, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with looking for paid work, for looking for employment where you can have a fee. And I'm grateful that I have access to this material. I have access to the internet, so I can post my videos, and YouTube and all the platforms that everybody else has access to. If I didn't start, I would never learn. And if I didn't make mistakes, I would never learn. And if I didn't learn, I would never change. So that's how I'm taking it, and I hope it helps you. If you know of anybody that would be looking for somebody like me to use their skills to come in to help with training and with spiritual direction, work in the church, then put my name forward. That's what I'm looking for. We used to have a children's rhyme that used to be in Old Mother Goose: Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. That allows us to move and to change. But for me, this week at least, and through my grieving process, it's going to be the exact opposite. I'm slowing down, I'm taking time for myself, I'm having meal replacements, like I had bought that chicken and potato salad. I'm being gentle with myself. And normally I don't. I only, like, if I had a friend coming over, I would go out and buy like a pre-prepared meal or those frozen dinners. Normally I cook every day. I make sure I exercise. I'm disciplined. And that's good as well. But for this week, I'm taking it gently. And I used to go to church every day when I wasn't working. But that's the toll that it took on me with not having a job. It's a big loss. So slowly, I start going back to church, to the weekday masses, staying for the rosary. But the nice thing is I can also pray at home. I can watch the mass at home. I can join the rosary either through Lourdes or the Marians or our local churches that stream online. There's many options thanks to the internet. So that's my reflections for today. And I hope my friends and companions on my journey who have chosen me are also grateful for me, for my life. And I choose my companions wisely, the same way they choose me. We all need companions in life on our journey to walk with us, just like Jesus on the road to Emmaus.